three experienced cave divers descended into the depths together. Their destination was the main room at the very heart of the cave, a place far beyond the entrance. To reach it, they had to squeeze through narrow, silt-covered passages and cross a deep water section known as the Arch, a place that had intimidated countless divers before them. This time, they actually had a chance to make it back safely. But during the return journey, one of the divers suddenly vanished. In the end, he was lost forever in the darkness below. And the tragedy all began with a lie. The Rubidoux Spring Cave is located in Pulaski County, Missouri, USA. Its underwater cave system is extremely complex. After entering the water, the divers would first pass through the upper shallow tunnel. Continuing forward, they would eventually reach an area known as the Drop. Roughly 30 meters high, it marked the boundary between the upper and lower sections of the cave. All divers would place their decompression cylinders there for the return trip and switch to stage tanks better suited for deep diving. After passing the drop, they would officially enter the lower deep tunnel. Not only was the passage extremely narrow, but the floor was also covered in thick layers of silt. Even the slightest contact could reduce visibility in the entire tunnel to zero within seconds. And at the very end of the deep tunnel lay the most dangerous section of the cave, the arch passage, the only entrance leading to the main room. The team leader that day was 50-year-old Stephen, a veteran cave diver with many years of experience. His companions, Ron and John, were also certified cave divers. The three knew each other well and had completed many dives together before. To ensure safety, they established one strict rule in advance. Stage cylinders would be used on the way in, while the main tanks would be reserved for the return trip. And if any diver depleted their stage gas early, the entire team had to turn back immediately. It was one of the most basic and most important survival rules in cave diving. After checking their tanks, scooters, and guideline equipment, the three men put on their dry suits and entered the water. The first half of the dive went smoothly. Following the guideline deeper into the cave, they soon reached the drop. There, they staged their decompression cylinders, switched to their stage gas, activated their scooters, and sped toward the main room. But when they were only dozens of meters from their destination, something went wrong. Because of the cold temperature at depth, Stephen's breathing rate increased, causing his stage cylinder to run out earlier than expected. According to their agreement, the team should have turned back immediately. But Stephen told no one. Instead, he quietly switched to his main tank and continued following the others deeper into the cave. That decision would completely change the fate of all three divers. A few minutes later, they successfully reached the main room. After a short stay, the team began the return trip. But less than 50 meters after leaving, Stephen glanced down at his pressure gauge and instantly went pale. His main tank had less than 1/6 of its gas remaining. There was no way it would last for the entire exit. Only then did panic finally set in. Stephen immediately grabbed Ron beside him and desperately signaled for help. The moment Ron saw the pressure gauge, he froze, because he knew exactly what running out of gas meant down there. Without hesitation, Ron handed Stephen his backup regulator. The two men began sharing the same gas supply while desperately retreating toward the drop. Meanwhile, John, who was leading the team ahead of them, had no idea what was happening behind him. He continued forward at the same pace, and the three divers became completely separated in the darkness. Worse still, the real disaster was only beginning. When Stephen and Ron reached the bottom of the drop and began ascending for decompression, Stephen suddenly suffered a severe buoyancy loss of control. His body shot upward like an out-of-control balloon, and the regulator was instantly ripped from his mouth. The reason was his dry suit. A dry suit requires constant adjustment of the air inside to maintain neutral buoyancy. But as a diver ascends, the surrounding water pressure rapidly decreases. The air trapped inside the suit expands dramatically. Just like a balloon pulled out of the water, it grows larger and larger. If the excess air is not vented in time, the buoyancy becomes stronger and stronger until it is completely uncontrollable. And at that moment, Stephen was already in a state of extreme panic. He struggled wildly back toward Ron. After grabbing the backup regulator and taking several desperate breaths, he gave Ron an okay hand signal. Seeing Stephen temporarily stabilize, Ron quickly lowered his head to retrieve the regulator that had fallen moments earlier. But when he looked up again, Stephen was gone. The surroundings were pitch black. The violent struggle had stirred up massive clouds of silt, covering the entire passage. Ron completely lost his sense of direction. He searched blindly through the darkness for a long time but could not find any trace of Stephen. And his own gas supply was running dangerously low. With no other choice, Ron followed standard diving procedures, completing his decompression stop step by step before finally surfacing alone and immediately calling for help. A professional cave diving rescue team soon arrived at the scene. Following the guideline into the cave, the rescuers began their search. Not long afterward, just above the spot where Ron had last seen Stephen, they discovered his body. The investigation later revealed that the true cause of the tragedy was neither equipment failure nor the cave itself. It began with Stephen's decision to hide the truth. When his stage cylinder ran out early, he failed to follow the agreed rule to turn back. Instead, he chose to stay silent. That single decision slowly dragged everyone toward disaster. There is a saying in cave diving: every rule was written in blood. Many times, The deadliest thing is not the darkness, nor the deep water, but humanity's faith in luck. Because inside a cave, you may be able to deceive your teammates, but you can never deceive death.